Hello, this is Verve, and I am bringing to you episode number 3 of the Fire Emblem Heroes AI Mechanics series. So I know my previous videos have been very long, so to combat this, I have taken a few new approaches to the upcoming episodes. First of all, I will try to begin the video by summarizing it and also providing a TLDW at the beginning for those who come here from my Reddit post and just want the details. Afterward, I will expand on the behaviors that I mentioned and provide examples of them in action. So in this manner, I can easily convey the critical information to the most number of people rather than just those of you who are bold enough to brave my entire video. Shoutouts to those of you, by the way, who do watch the whole things. In addition to that, I will also be splitting my videos up into smaller portions. So while the entire topic that I have been researching in the past month is related to attacking, this episode will only cover the portion regarding attack targeting. So look out for my next videos about attack positioning and attack priority that I'm currently working on, and hopefully will come out soon. Anyway, let us get right into the thick of it. As this video is only about attack targeting, I am only going to present scenarios that simply highlight this portion of AI behavior. Namely, the relevant scenario is, if there is a single target who can make an attack on multiple different targets, how does it choose who to attack? Well, here's how they do it. So let's go over how it works. First, there are 3 different types of outcomes that can result from an attack. There is win, loss, and draw. A win is where the unit in question defeats the target that it attacks in one round of combat. A loss is the opposite, where instead the target defeats the attacking unit. A draw is where neither the attacker nor the target are defeated. So intuitively, a unit will prefer a win over a draw, and prefer a draw over a loss. This is the first tiebreaker for choosing an attack target. However, unlike for movement and movement targeting, there are different conditions surrounding a win, loss, and draw, so the tiebreakers under each outcome is somewhat different. I'll go over the tiebreaks for a win first. 1. If the attacker can inflict a defense or resistance debuff using any of the abilities on this list, then the target who can be afflicted by at least 2 more points of a def or res debuff by the attacker will be chosen. 2. The target who has the highest HP is considered the best. 3. If there are multiple targets who have the highest HP, then the target from among those who deals the least damage to our unit is the best target. 4. If the previous condition is identical for multiple best targets, then the target that, when attacked, would have its special counter increased after being activated. That target is the best. And 5. Barring that condition, then the target is finally left to a slot tiebreak, from highest number to lowest. Next, the tiebreaks for a loss. 1 is same for the win, regarding def or res debuffs. 2. The target against whom the attacker deals the most damage is considered the best. 3. Increasing the special counter after being activated, same as the win. 4. Barring that condition, then the target is finally left to a slot tiebreak again, from highest number to lowest. Finally, the tiebreaks for a draw. 1. Same as before, if the attacker can inflict a def or res debuff, etc. 2. The target against whom there is a better target priority number. Target priority for an individual target is calculated by the formula 3 times damage dealt minus damage taken. 3. Increasing the special counter after being activated, same as before. And 4. Barring that condition, then the target is finally left to a slot tiebreak, yet again, from the highest number to lowest. Alright, that's a lot to take in for now, but overall it's actually not too complicated. I think the 3 types of attack outcomes of win, loss, and draw should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to ignore the def and res debuff tiebreaker for now, since it usually is not applicable, and I'll go over the more intuitive tiebreaks first. When there are multiple targets that you can score a kill on, the one that has the higher current HP is targeted first. This one is very easy to observe simply by bringing in an overpowered unit into an easy map, where you can score the win against all enemies in the map. I'll just show a clip of the Reinhardt auto-battling through a map of 4 enemies with different HPs to illustrate this. So to go over this, it does not matter how much damage you do to the enemy, nor how much damage you would take, so long as you can score the kill on that enemy with the highest HP. So after highest HP comes least damage received. This also makes sense, as you would rather take down the enemy that is defeated in one hit rather than the one that takes 2 hits and attacks you back, if their HPs are identical. Next comes the one about specials. In general, it basically means the attack would result in the enemy activating their special. However, it's worded funny because there is some nuance to it. But let's go over a simple example here. In this clip, I have 2 Lucases with the same HP, but one has Sacred Cowl charged. Bravelyn will attack the one with Sacred Cowl charged, no matter the slot order, because after Sacred Cowl is activated, his special counter goes up to 2, which is higher than the 0 that he started with. I'll go over later why it has to be worded in such a manner, rather than just saying the enemy uses their special charge. But for now, it should suffice to say, activating the enemy's special charge in this level of tiebreaker will generally have the edge. Finally, there is the classic slot priority. Again, the slot priority is lowest to highest from left to right. Highest priority is slot 4 on the right, lowest priority is slot 1 on the left. Alright, now I will go back to the first tiebreaker regarding Seal Def and Seal Res. So here is the list of abilities that will matter for this tiebreaker. It basically includes a few daggers and the B slot Seal Def, Seal Res, and its derivative in Seal Attack / Def, and most likely the other ones if they get added in the future. So if you look at that list, as far as the daggers are concerned, it looks kinda shabby. Don't ask me why the other daggers don't work, but they don't. It is literally just Rogue Dagger, Unrefined Rogue Dagger Plus, Poison Dagger versus Infantry, and Kitty Paddle versus Mages. That's it. So to continue, simply having these skills does not necessarily change priorities, since in general, enemies are equally affected by these weapons and skills. Where this tiebreaker becomes relevant is when there are some enemies who are already debuffed before you attack them, while there are some enemies who are not. Let's look at this example clip. Here I have a Summer Leo with Seal Res, and Mia's the helper here with Res Poi 2. At the moment, Leo only has Seal Res 1 equipped, which can only reduce Res by 3. On turn 2, Jaken and Marth will be afflicted by Res -4, while Sita will not have any Res debuffs at all. So, Sita is the only one who could be affected by Leo's Seal Res, and as such, she is the target, despite having the lowest HP of them all. Next, Leo equips Seal Res 2. He should now be able to inflict 1 additional point of Res debuff on Marth. However, as we repeat this, we will see that Leo still does not target Marth. This is because Leo needs to be able to inflict at least 2 points of a Def or Res debuff to gain priority for a target. Finally, Leo equips Seal Res 3, which can inflict Res -7. Jaken still will not be targeted since he gets sealed on the enemy phase. But as we'll see here, Marth will now be targeted over Sita. This rule works the same way for the listed daggers, but since daggers can inflict both a Def and a Res debuff, if a target already has Def -7 for example, but the Res is untouched, then that target will still get priority due to the dagger being able to also debuff Res. Additional note is that say you are using Poison Dagger Plus against an infantry, which debuffs by 6 on both Def and Res, and the target is affected by -5 debuffs on both Def and Res, this target would not have priority, because neither the Def or Res values can be individually debuffed by 2 points, even though when combined there would be 2 points of debuffs. Okay, so I have gone over the full list of tiebreakers for the win outcome now. The tiebreaks for the lose outcome is pretty much identical, except that it does not have a least damage taken one, since, of course, the implication is that you're defeated. So now let's talk about the tiebreak that is unique to the draw outcome. In the draw outcome, both the damage dealt to the target, as well as the damage received, are both relevant within the same formula for calculated target priority. The formula itself is actually quite simple. I'll display it again here. It's damage dealt times 3 minus damage taken equals target priority. And please note that damage dealt here means net damage, and I'll go over that later. So, as an example, if you deal, say, 10 damage to an enemy, but take 30 damage in return, that is of exactly equal value to attacking an enemy who you deal no damage to, but they can't counterattack. Let's look at an example of a case that is a tie. In Navarre's Grand Hero Battle on hard mode, the ninja on the right side can choose to deal 0 damage to Mia, or it can choose to do 5 damage to Felicia, but take 15 in return. And as you will see, I demonstrate that these two targets are a slot tie. This formula works even for negative damage, which is where you cause the target to heal. At the moment, that can only be done by a healing special or legendary Ephraim Solar Brace. And this is where I said that considering damage dealt as net damage is important. Anyway, take a look at this clip with an interesting example. I'm going to look to see whether the armor with Sapphire Lance here would choose to attack Mia or Halloween Jacob. The armor will be hit by Attack Ploy 3 by Jacob, and Jacob will be buffed by Attack Tactic 3. Mia will be missing health after using Ardent Sacrifice on Reinhardt. As a result, if the armor attacks Jacob, he will do 0 damage and take 19 damage, since Jacob has close counter. If the armor attacks Mia, he will do 0 damage as well, but Mia does 0 with her normal attack. She does, however, activate Noontime with Wo Dao, so she does 10 damage when it activates, and heals 3. So let's examine the target priority numbers for Jacob and Mia. For Jacob, it comes up to a simple minus 19, since the armor does 0 damage times 3, minus 19 from the damage taken. For Mia, it's minus 3 damage dealt due to her healing, times 3 for minus 9, minus 10 from the damage taken. So Mia also has minus 19 for target priority. That means that they are tied as far as who is a better target. We can see it in action here, since at first Jacob is targeted, but I will switch the slots, and then you will see that Mia is targeted. Please do note that Mia has to be missing HP at the beginning of the combat in order to be considered healed. Taking damage, then healing that same damage during combat will count as 0 net damage, as if no damage would be dealt in the first place. So, you may have noticed that Mia activates her special in this combat, but I mentioned before and demonstrated how activating a special can affect targeting priority, right? Well, I'll get to that now. In this combat, Mia is hit, which lowers her charge to 0. She then activates Noontime, which resets the charge to 2. Finally, she doubles the armor, which lowers it back to 1. At the end of the combat, her special charge did not get raised, despite the fact that it activated. This is why the tiebreaker is worded in such a way. Now, if I were using Soul here instead of Noontime, for example, the charge would go from 1 at the beginning of combat to 2 at the end of combat. The charge would thus be raised, which results in the tiebreaker becoming active. I can show a clip of this in action here. First, I will show it with a defensive special. Gwendolyn here has a Killer Lance, Escutcheon, and Quicken Pulse. That means that she has Escutcheon currently pre-charged. This also means that after being attacked and performing her counterattack, her already charged Escutcheon will be charged yet again. As a result, she is not specifically targeted in this lose-lose 0 damage dealt situation for this sword infantry. I swapped the slots with Lyn just to prove that she is indeed in a slot tiebreaker right now. However, if we swap out Gwendolyn for Fjorm here, who can also have a pre-charged escutcheon thanks to shield pulse, something different happens. Since Fjorm does not have a killer lance, and thus escutcheon has natural 2 cooldown, after she is attacked and performs her counterattack, escutcheon will go from charged to being at 1 cooldown. The enemy will always target her in this lose-lose 0 damage stealth situation, as shown after switching her slots with Lyn. Now I'll do the same thing with Noontime and Soul as a demo. Mia here has a Killing Edge and Noontime, such that when she is attacked, she fires off Noontime. You will be able to see this after I swap the slots. So, when Mia is attacked, she will be at 1 cooldown both before and after the combat, and thus the special activation is not applicable for the tiebreaker this time. However, if she swaps out the special for Soul and adds Quicken Pulse, it changes up yet again. With Soul, she will start with 1 cooldown, but end with 2 cooldown as I illustrated before, and as a result, she is prioritized in this lose-lose 0 damage stealth situation. I will swap their slots yet again just for posterity to show that Mia is always targeted. And with that will wrap it up for this episode. I already had the summary in the beginning of the video, so I will just use this time to thank all of you who have made it to the end of the video, and as always, look forward to more AI videos coming your way soon. Take care, folks.